Welcome to the Box Office Bangers and Bummers, where we look at the weekend's cinematic winners and losers. Let's get straight to it. It was the second weekend in a row where the box office outpaced the business it did last year at the same time. This is in no small part due to Captain Marvel turning the fortunes around for 2019's box office numbers. It didn't hurt that many of the new arrivals in theaters also outdid expectations, except for one in particular that crash landed. Despite that, 2019 appears to be getting a much nicer forecast after having a very murky start in its first 2 months. And with even bigger releases on the horizon, the future is definitely bright. But let's ditch the corny weather metaphors and jump into this week's bangers and bummers. Marvel Studios' Captain Marvel won the top spot again in its second weekend blasting through theaters, adding an additional $69 million to its domestic take, as well as adding nearly $120 million to its tally from international markets. Its current global cume sits at $760 million, already surpassing many of her Marvel Studios contemporaries. And while the percentage drop from its first weekend to the second was pretty high at nearly 55%, it's actually doing better than the average 56% dip all the MCU films suffer their second weekend in. Due to all that and its assumed dominance at the box office before that other Captain Marvel from the distinguished competition arrives next month, I'm declaring Captain Marvel the clear banger of the week. Surprisingly, Nickelodeon's animated film Wonder Park rode in and snatched up second place with $16 million, beating even the highest of expectations from pre-release estimates. Coming in third was 5 Feet Apart, managing to get audiences to cough up $13 million for its debut in theaters. The latest entry in the seemingly popular Sick Kids in Love YA subgenre, CBS Films' 5 Feet Apart outperformed other comparable films and even nabbed an A cinema score, signaling that the film may have some legs in the coming weeks. And yet another surprise for the weekend was No Manches FRIDA 2, the Mexican film import from Lionsgate Films, coming in at 6th with nearly $4 million. The sequel to the surprise 2016 comedy hit, it managed to do better than the original and got very high marks from audiences. Whether the film will manage to remain in the top 10 as the spring movie season begins to rev up will be something to look out for. The last new film from the weekend barely made it into the top 10, as Focus Features' Captive State failed to capture audiences and only beamed up $3 million, falling short of even the most conservative of estimates. Originally slated for a limited release, the studio decided to just release it nationwide instead. They either got overconfident or more likely just saw the writing on the wall for its alien invasion / political thriller. In the weeks leading up to its release, early tracking indicated audiences weren't interested in the film, and the dismal C- cinema score it received from viewers exiting the film seemed to validate their reluctance to check out the movie. With critical consensus split as the film settled in at 50% on the tomato meter, things aren't looking up for Captive State. All of this makes it the bummer of the week. Now here's the full list of the top 10 movies for the weekend of March 15th, along with their final actual grosses. Next week sees the release of Jordan Peele's sophomore directorial effort, Us, a movie that's already garnered a lot of hype with audiences and glowing reviews from critics. It'll be interesting to see how it does against the might of Captain Marvel. And that's a wrap for this week's box office bangers and bummers. Leave a comment on what you think next week's winners and losers are going to be. Hit like, smash that sexy subscribe button, and don't forget to ring that bell icon to become part of the notification squad so you never miss this or any other big screen theories. Until next time, see you at the box office.